Yeah, I really just enjoy making guests feel welcome, building relationships, making them come back, and making them enjoy themselves. You know, it's hospitality. That's what it's about.
Hey everybody, this is Dani Valent and you're listening to Dirty Linen. Thank you so much for being with me for another food chat. Always happy to be in your ears and I love chatting food. Today I'm talking to someone who is all about it. Franck Sammut has been working in hospitality for decades, notably an 18-year stint at Melbourne institution France-Soir, which has celebrated 40 years recently. So to be there for almost half its tenure is pretty amazing. Frank is tireless. He has opened his first venue called Upper Middle in South Melbourne. I visited recently and was super impressed. I've got to say it's so different to Francois. So I'm looking forward to hearing about the inspiration and his views on longevity in a career that can be pretty demanding. Frank, welcome to Dirty Linen.
Hello, bonjour.
Bonjour. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Put yourself in context for the listeners.
Oh, where do I begin? Well, I'll start, shortly, I guess from the start. Born in France, Paris, came to Australia when I was 8, so in 87. Grew up here, pretty much. The French accent can come on from time to time, or I can do the full, workers Australian accent if you need. But, fell in love with hospitality. My dad's been in it for his life, most of it, yeah. And, he's had one or two little restaurants here back in the early 90s where I started doing the till and seeing the money come in and the vibe and just, like an organism, hospo. It's just every service is different and living and breathing and you meet so many different people and just fell in love with it. It's not the best family job. But yeah, I've been now since 97 myself, working from Stoke House, the old Stoke House before it burned down, a good stint of 6-7 years there, up and down stairs. Then Francois, 18 years, as you mentioned, a bit of botanical hotel, a little bit of bistro-thiery. Well, I was working on this, getting it up and running. And since 7 weeks ago, here, Upper Middle, South Melbourne, 34 Eastern Road.
I love it. So you mentioned your dad having the restaurants and you working with him. What did he think about you pursuing hospitality yourself? Was it one of those families where he was like, Frank, I'm doing this so you don't have to, or was he happy to welcome you into the fold?
Oh, I think it was both, but at the same time, it was, I'm doing this and I hope you do better at school than I did so you don't have to. You see him come home late, you see him leave early, especially you work at a place like Francois, the kitchen closes at midnight. An early night over there, if I remember correctly, was 1:30. That was an early night. So it's not exactly catered to, getting up at 7 a.m. and doing a school run and packing lunches. But, you fall in love with it, Not much you can do.
Well, that's right. The pull is very strong. What is it actually that you have fallen in love with and what's kept you stuck to the industry?
I think I'm actually, there's a few things I'm proud of in life. One's being a great dad, and the other one's carrying plates. Like, I just love carrying plates. And that's one thing I'm learning very early on is, I've had a little cafe with my father back in the day and I've worked with him there and at Francois for a small stint. He came back and worked for a few months and it was one of the best working times of my life, actually working side by side with my old man. So much fun. Yeah, so proud of being a dad, but proud of carrying plates. But as I've learned in the last 7 weeks, it's like I've got to let go of the waiter side of it and carrying plates and looking after customers, making them feel welcome and being more that boss side in the back end, which is, a new thing for me to learn at 46. I've managed places, but being an owner is totally different. And I really just enjoy making guests feel welcome, building relationships, making them come back and making them enjoy themselves. It's hospitality. That's what it's about.
And, I was quite tickled to hear you switch to the French accent and back again at France-Soir, which, people who don't know, it's an all day, every day bistro, just like a very see and be seen kind of place. People are there for the oysters, the snails, the steak frit, but they're there to hang out, they're there for their own traditions, whether it's a birthday or a regular booking for a Saturday lunch. It's a real thing. But the the waiters often do speak in French accents. So hang on, are they all putting it on?
I cannot either deny or confirm, but no. I'm pretty sure. I don't know half the waiters there today, but I'm pretty sure we've always, I say we as if I'm still part of it, but Jean-Paul has always tried to, stay as authentic with having French waiters. So I'm assuming it's still the same.
I love that. So upper middle, it's so different to Francois or any of the other places you mentioned. Tell us about the concept.
So I guess concept was, because we really staged it. So if you look at the premises, like I'm at the moment in the second stage that is going on towards the end of the year, early next year, hopefully. But stage one is more of a cafe, grab and go, pizza side of it, catering to a bit of brunch. And stage two, the idea was to do a bit more of a dining room, informal, unpretentious, welcoming, vibrant, fun, warm, and a beautiful bar. So I wanted to tick those boxes with having a place to go, with sort of sit-down lunch or dinner. Cater to grab and go in the area for all the office people across the road. We've got about 1,000 and above. We've got 6 or 7 levels. And pizza, I just absolutely adore. It's my favorite food. I was a big child most of my life, and I've eaten pizza quite a lot.
Well, I think we've all got our mouth around a pizza or two in our time. And I've got to say, I like the offering there. Simple pizzas, good quality ingredients. I've got to say the tarte tatin really captured me. Why have you got a tarte tatin on the menu, and what makes yours so good?
I've got it, my chef Locke, Kapoor. He's been doing tarte tatins for probably about 8-9 years now, just getting them better and better and better he was before at Bistro Thierry. So now I've taken him with me, and he's running the kitchen. He's doing a great job. But yeah, most places, like I said, even Bistro Thierry doing an apple tart. You've got Francois does an apple tatin. I think it's a bigger one by slice. I think you'd be hard pressed to find anything but an apple tart, really, an apple tatin in Melbourne. But pear's just something different, and it's overlooked.
Yeah, well, I just love that sort of caramelized pear, the gooiness, and then the pastry with its different layers, different textures, just such an enjoyable eating experience. What was your thinking behind doing a kind of all-day dining experience that caters to office workers, residents, sort of having that takeaway aspect front and centre? Is it a sort of lifestyle move for you, or is it something that you feel the area needs? Like, how did you sort of consider it all?
It definitely wasn't lifestyle. I think the last thing I thought of when opening this was me, in a sense of my hours and how it fits. I don't think you can do that with a business. You're offering and catering to the public, to the clientele. What do they need? What do they want? I've been told more and more as I've opened that this area, South Melbourne, was missing something like this, something a bit more for the locals, a bit off the beaten track, so to speak, down the road from Coventry and, all the main areas. So we're just across the road from Lucia on Eastern Road. When we initially looked at the site, I said, this is great, Lucia. Let's do everything else. Let's do everything below this. This is great. Let's complement each other. So I thought, let's have a dining room eventually that, you've got a main for $50-ish max. You've got pizza oven. You can cater to the public. You can do a bit of Uber Eats or pick up in the area. I've had a look, and there's great pizza, but there's not fantastic pizza. And that's what we're going to offer, and we're offering right now. When you open a cafe, you've got to do brunch. So I did a bit of a European twist on a few classics that all the Aussies love, smashed avo and eggs. And I've got a croque monsieur, which my mum has approved last week. She came in, had it, and said, thumbs up. So, I thought, when you're in depth in something, you go, but is it too much mustard? Not enough? How's the bechamel? Does it need nutmeg? So I'm always nitpicking, but I got the thumb of approval, so I'm happy. Mum's given it the go-ahead.
That's so good. And you mentioned, you've got to let go of the plate carrying a little bit to, be that business owner. What's been the hardest aspect of that for you? Is it a sort of a real emotional tug that you have to be that guy on the floor?
Yeah, I think there's definitely that. And I think it's I'm still learning. I think we're all still learning. And that's why I try and tell my staff is even I'm the owner, I'm learning off you. Like I'm going to interact and learn from you. We're all learning. We're all going to make each other stronger and better. The more we communicate, the more we work together, we speak up, we say this, that, and there's definitely an element of not being, I'm still very much in the dining room, so to speak, on the floor, serving and interacting. But it's just so much more back of house stuff, which is taking, a lot of time, which I never realized it was taking that much. But you've got to do it.
I mean, there's so much set up in a business, which you've obviously, you're deep in. But I was just looking at all the things that are changing for Australian businesses from July 1, and it's intense. There's a national minimum wage increase. There is payday super, which means employers must pay their employees superannuation at the same time as their wages instead of quarterly. So that is a really big change in terms of cash flow. Massive.
I think it's a good idea, though.
You do?
Basically, yeah, 100%.
Tell me why.
Yes. Well, you've got some places don't end up paying super. I've been part of one of those in the past, not any that I mentioned today. But, it's an entitlement. Why shouldn't it be paid and on time?
Yep. I mean, I absolutely agree with you. I think it makes absolute sense. But, for businesses that have been running their cash flow differently, it's definitely something that they need to consider and plan for and adjust to. One of the other things is country of origin labelling for seafood, where seafood has to be labelled on a menu as either Australian with an A, imported with an I, or mixed origin with an M. Are you across that, and what do you think about that one?
Well, menu labelling, look, it makes sense in a way. At the same time, on a menu, how many abbreviations and labelling and can we have? Like you got vegan, dairy-free, nut-free. In the end, it's going to lose a bit of perspective what a menu is meant to be. I think it's meant to be quite simple and attractive. And you walk in, you say, "Oh, this looks great," and you don't want to run down the history of, I guess, 98% of the people don't, of, where your dishes come from. I think it's a bit micromanaging those details in a sense. Perhaps there's another way of delivering it. Perhaps, if you're that interested, can you ask the waiter for the booklet and he'll give you the rundown of the origin of where they order from, the company A, B, C, D, E. I don't know. But, a menu is meant to be fun and enjoyable, not a challenge, like a wine list.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? There's so much to keep on top of, and it's changing all the time.
It is getting a bit red tape-ish, so to speak, and harder and harder to sort of go out there and just, not make a living, but I guess just entertain and, provide and just say, the aim is to provide an experience, whether it's a quick baguette and a coffee or you want to sit down and celebrate your daughter getting married or everything in between. It's not meant to be a hassle.
I mean, when you go out, what sort of hospitality experiences do you look for?
I like to have a laugh. I'm a bit quirky. I'm a bit of fun. Even the staff are learning how to sort of deal with my sense of humour, I think. But as a boss, you can't have one. Well, I'm learning as well, it seems. But I look for, so you look for a bit of attention and you look for to make feel welcomed, and it's not that complicated. And someone who's relaxed and knowledgeable, and you're not testing them so you can put a review down and say, "Oh, I asked the waiter 6 questions and he didn't know 4 of them," or, it's just about going out and having a good time. And if you're not going out to have a good time, why are you going out?
That is a really good question. I mean, can you tell us about a dining experience you've had at any point in your life that has really stayed with you for just, it absolutely nailed it for you?
Look, I know that my first experience with my daughter and my wife at the Flower Drum was probably one of the best when she was about 8. And just her reaction and, everything there is top notch. Jason runs a tight ship, and you've got, from each waiter, the attention you get, they spend time with you. I mean, it's the best restaurant for a reason. And just seeing her reaction, my daughter Remy at 8 years old, getting her Peking duck, which she loves, and, each plate having a different picture. But then you've got, you can go to the Yellowbird on Chapel Street and have a cheap taco night and a green salad, a green bowl with a bit of chicken and a couple of beers and, have a great time. It depends what you're up for, like Jean-Paul said to me once from France-Soir, he said to me, Frank, there's no such thing as great wine, only great bottles. And in a sense, it doesn't matter what you're drinking, it's who you're drinking it with. And it's the same with a dining experience. If you're going out with somebody you work with and you can't stand and you're like, oh my God, I got to sit through 2 hours with this guy or girl or whoever, yeah, it's going to be a horrible night. Doesn't matter where you are, but you go to, like I said, Yellowbird, somewhere relaxed and have a night out with your best friend and have fun.
That's so true. Or, it could be fish and chips on the beach, with a beautiful sunset. It's just, I love that description of your daughter and I can just imagine, her eyes wide open, just the awe that you experience when you see this beautiful machine of a restaurant just, whirring around you. I've been eating out professionally for a couple of decades now, and I'd say I'm not jaded. I still really love it and really appreciate it. But I also do have a special joy in taking people out who, whether it's a kid or it's someone who just doesn't go out much or it's a new cuisine for someone, to see it through those fresh eyes is just such a joy. That surprise, that wonder, perhaps a new ingredient. It's just so special.
Well, I can tell even just talking about it, it's like you're looking at food or speaking about it for the first time, the excitement you have. Yeah, you really are excited about it.
I definitely am, and I really appreciate it. I saw an Instagram post today. A restaurant who was complaining, or maybe not complaining even, just airing their disappointment that yet again a customer had stolen their beautiful soap in the toilet and just talking about that. And I was just trying to get into the mindset of someone who would enter a restaurant for a meal, for whatever occasion, a simple one, a complicated one. But what would the mindset be that you would go into the toilet and think that was like a really good way to spend, how could you do that? And then that you go back to your table and accept the hospitality. I don't know. I just feel like hospitality, it should be such a genuine exchange. And I know that, people such as yourself and other people working in the industry are really putting it all on the line, and you're giving. And I think for that giving to not be respected is not right. It's not fair.
I agree with you 100%. What mindset? I mean, you can't get in the mind of people, especially these days, with how they think and some think and operate and do things. It's just, I've noticed it through hospo, especially since COVID, that it was never an easy sort of industry. You could. Early on in my career, I really let people get to me. Like if there was a bad customer, he'd ruin my day. And then my wife told me about the book, The Art of Not Giving a Shit, and basically not letting someone's energy just control you or ruin the rest of your day. Is someone's 10 seconds going to ruin your 19,000 you got in the day or whatever? It shouldn't. And it really got to me probably about 5 years ago. And I just went, you know what? I clicked and just went, doesn't matter. They're having a bad day. I'll just do my best to still do what I do, and hopefully they'll turn a little bit. But yeah, that mindset of going into a business which already has small margins, and I mean, maybe he was very impressed with the soap. I got no idea. Maybe it was a beautiful soap. This person.
I'm sure it was, but it's just that entitlement. I just can't imagine, getting to the point where I've decided that was my next decision. But I mean, I have also heard other hospo people speak, Frank, about that idea of, they love an unhappy customer because the satisfaction in turning them around, turning their day around is just supreme.
I wouldn't go as far as to say I love an unhappy customer, but I do enjoy a challenge. Yeah. But no, I think I touched on it just before, but with, COVID and our lockdowns and all that, it was pretty tough on a lot of us. And I think people have really, not all, but some have they've forgotten how to speak to each other, especially when they go out into a communal space where you're meant to interact somewhat. It's just very difficult for some people, Like I've had some they come in and look at sort of, we've got an abbreviated menu at the door at the moment, which is just our baguette selection. And we've ordered our big one that's going to have a bit of everything, because people just pop their head in, look, and you say, oh, would you like to look at a menu? And they'll give you a look like what does this guy want? So I'm trying to service a need you may have. Yeah, it's not very difficult, but I don't know. Some people just, scared to talk.
Yeah. I visited a new venue recently called the Flying Fox. It's a new pub in Richmond, and really recommend anyone listening check it out. It was great. One of the things that the owner told me about was there's a beautiful front bar in there. It's made of Tassie oak, handcrafted, just a lovely place. Feels good as soon as you walk in. He mentioned that 3 guys had come in separately, local guys from the neighbourhood. They were in the venue. They realised they all lived in the same building. They'd seen each other around in other places but had never spoken. But there was something about this environment that made them feel that they could have a chat, and they ended up talking to one another. They just felt like this was the place that they could let loose a little bit, just be, and just how good it must feel to create that space for people to remember how to talk to one another.
Yeah, I mean, that's the purpose, isn't it? I mean, it is a business run to operate and make a small profit, and hopefully carry people with it and make them live a good life. But at the end, it's there to create an environment for people to feel welcomed and come in and spend their money and have experiences that they'll cherish forever, There's definitely some, a lot of people I've interacted with in my sort of personal, professional career thus far. I've tried to learn something, whether it's professional, personal, positive or negative. I've really tried to interact and connect and get something, whether it's good or bad, and just carry that on. And there's definitely been, with that little stint at France-Soir, a lot of people that I've kept in contact with, customers which have become more than guests or clients and almost friends that, you can call and rely on. And if you need advice, they've always been there. There's been like a good handful of them. And they've even shown the support, some of the first ones here. So it is like, hospital is a great place. And when you have a dining room, like say France-Soir, and people come in and you're serving them, so to speak, you're looking after them, and they feel relaxed. Doesn't matter what they do. It could be Mr. Foster, billionaire, or Lindsay Fox, or everybody else. They come in and they're not someone else, but they're a bit more chilled, laid back, approachable. Some of them.
We hope so. And then they hear the accent and they just melt. Frank, what would you like people to take from you? You mentioned you learn from other people. What would you love your teams to learn from spending time in your business?
Teams, I guess it takes time. No one knows everything straight away. Be humble. One thing I struggle with one thing I struggle with still is listen more than you speak. And just take on board and learn. I mean, we don't stop learning. The moment we think we stop learning is you're sitting at home watching Netflix, like nonstop, 24/7. Like, you got to get out there, interact, and just connect. It's good. But the team definitely, one thing I've always tried to be as a manager is not be the best at what I do. I'm not going to ask somebody to empty the bin if I don't do it first. Show them, so lead by example. And be the glue in the team. Make the others stronger. Go in between and support the team. Don't, I've done it. I've done that for you. Next time you need to do it or else. I mean, that doesn't create a team.
Interesting. And, you mentioned your daughter's been awakened to the joy of restaurants. What if she wants to go into the industry, Frank?
I did say exactly what my dad said. Don't. No, but that being said, it's school holidays coming up. She's in year 8. I know what you're thinking. Oh my God, you've got a 14-year-old. You look so young. But yes, I do have a 14-year-old. So I've really didn't ask her. I said, you're going to come and do a few shifts on the till, just to, 2-3 hours, just so you get, she does Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So she's pretty confident already. And, she's got her mum's savviness, and sociability. I'm not the most social out of work experience, but at work, I'm definitely social. But yeah, I'm just not the social butterfly my wife is, but I want her to come in and just, learn how to interact and speak and get a bit of respect for just a team environment and a good work ethic, which young people are missing. Some.
I'm sure she'll be great, and what a pleasure it would be to be looked after by her. What do you reckon she'll want to eat, Frank? Or what will you recommend she tries?
Well, she's been in a few times, so her go-to is anything without vegetables. Anything green, she's sick straight away. No, but she loves pizza, of course. She's a matcha girl, loves matcha. I'm not a big fan of matcha, too dry. But she's been doing, what has she been doing? She's been doing our carbonara we've been doing on the menu. Pizza for sure. She'll have a salad if it's the dressings on the side. Any pastries and basically anything iced with chocolate, yeah.
Well, sounds like she's working her way through the menu very successfully. I love it, Frank. Well, I sincerely wish you all the best with Upper Middle. Great addition to the neighbourhood and worth a trip for pizzas and definitely that tarte tatin. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
This is Dirty Linen. I'm Dani Valent. We bring you untold stories from the food world. Real, raw, unafraid, hopeful. We're driven by a belief that food provides endless opportunities for learning, connecting, and creating the world we want to live in. Delicious, open-hearted, meaningful. If you know a story that needs telling, get in touch. Write to dirtylinen@deepintheweeds.com.au. Thank you for listening.
This is a Deep in the Weeds production.